Welcome to Totally Talent Podcast by HR.com, your go-to source for all things talent. Whether you're looking for expert insights on high-volume hiring, the latest trends in recruitment technology, or strategies for building a winning team, we've got you covered. Join us for each episode as we dive deep into the challenges and opportunities shaping the talent landscape today. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. We're back this week with Totally Talent, Angie and I, and we're talking to Randy Bailey. So exciting. I've actually got to see Randy twice in the last month, once at RecFest and then last week at HR Tech. So third time's a charm.
Yes, and it was our first time meeting in person.
It was. Oops. It was the first time. And I understand you and Angie go way back. So let's talk a little bit about our history together and how we got to know each other and what you're looking to do in your next step in your career. So Angie, first, how do you guys know each other?
Yeah. So actually, Debbie, I think I met Randy before I met you at one of the SourceCons. I know he'll tell us his story about his sorcery skills. But Randy and I worked together at Walmart for a period of time, and it was amazing. He helped me with some Tableau dashboards, which was pretty awesome, and talent insights and all that fun stuff. I do have to say, and it's not because we're friends, but Randy is a really smart guy, very talented, and it's been too long since we connected. So I'm really excited that you're here with us today, Randy. With that said, I want to pass it over to you so you could tell us a little bit about yourself instead of me trying to do it myself.
So my name is Randy Bailey. I was, as Angie alluded, my background is in sourcing. I am a SourceCon Grandmaster. My claim to fame is that I beat the AI to become a Grandmaster. I can be very, very passionate about sourcing and really just that top of the funnel. As I often talk about it, it's how I will think about when I'm approaching a problem. I often approach it from that top of the funnel question, regardless of what we're talking about. It's just how my brain will break down the problem from the get-go, from that top of the funnel as a sourcer. So that's a little bit about me. I was recently impacted when Walmart eliminated all remote roles enterprise-wide. It was a real, I'm still in somewhat of mourning about that. That it spent 8 years at Walmart and just saw that organization evolve from what had been a really siloed, good old boys type of network to a well-oiled machine. It was. I would put it up against any other TA organization that I've ever seen. It was a great organization with some amazing people. So
you're looking for your next gig, open to remote work, obviously, but where do you actually live and what would be your ideal role?
I live in the greater Boston area. I'm just outside of Boston. I've moved from at Walmart. I started as a talent insights consultant, which Walmart, that's, I guess, fancy speak for a sourcer, at least at the time when I started at Walmart. And I took a kind of a liberal role of what that, view of what that meant, because really anything can be an insight. And eventually I'd say my job caught up with my title caught up with what I was doing, because I would find things that didn't make sense within the organization, internally, externally, and trying to make the organization better. I kind of view myself as the grease to an enterprise, trying to make those around me better. And so in my next role, depending on the company, one of the things that coworkers called me was a Swiss Army knife. I'm pretty adaptable. I will find problems you didn't know existed to make them better. So it doesn't have to be an exclusive talent intelligence role, but I like the strategy. I like helping and try and look at and marrying the data from external data, bringing external data into our internal metrics to help tell the story of what's happening and why we're having whatever the problem is we're trying to understand, giving context to those problems. So something that's involved with that. What my title is, I've never been somebody who really cares about title. It's more who and what I'm getting to do. So I love seeing my fingerprints on an organization, I would say.
So talking more about data and storytelling than sourcing.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. At Walmart, I reported up through the sourcing team, but had moved away from direct sourcing. But because of who I am, I think it's going to be hard to completely take that away from me, just because it's people, whether it's I'm just trying to strategize of how we should go about break down a problem to find the right talent or what it is. I was always had my finger in it. keep my skills up and helping others be better.
In our call yesterday with Shannon, we talked a lot about key performance indicators and how do you measure recruiters. Did you build dashboards or things for the recruiters to make sure they were fulfilling their goals?
I wasn't so involved with that directly, helping to help guide the leadership in making sure that the dashboards that they were building were involved, but it wasn't my directly what I was working on. It was I would try and bring data from what they found, and when if we're having trouble filling a role, why is that? What data can we find to help make the case? If we're having trouble with compensation, why? Are our comp ranges too low? What data can I find to help back up the recruiters to make the case so that it's not just these onesie twosie conversations they're having? That is their data to actually to make a data informed decision, or at least, as I would often to stir the pot a bit with that. And should the leadership be saying, well, maybe there is some data here that we need to reevaluate what we think our ranges should be. So it's not necessarily explicitly the metrics, but trying to give context to where we're having trouble.
Great. Okay. So Angie, when you guys worked together as a team at Walmart, what was the relationship?
So Randy and I think Randy was always my go-to person when I had problems trying to figure out why I can't find people or what kind of data, to his point, I could present to either the recruitment team or the leadership team as to why we need to expand the role into different locations or why we weren't finding the right people. So literally it was Randy was a message away. I would say, Randy, I'm having a really hard time here. Can you help me with this? What do you think? And then it was screenshot after screenshot, and then data and data and data. And here's this and here's that. And if you look at it like this, then you can go like this. I mean, it was a lot of information. I thought, wow, Walmart was a very, very lucky organization to have Randy do that, because it gave us the opportunity to go back to our leaders and tell them why we weren't able to find the people that we couldn't find, or for whatever reason, the talent pool was slim. So it was very, very important. The data, I mean, it's all in the data, right? And if Randy came back to us with that, it was really easy for us to go and talk to the leaders and tell them why we were having a hard time. Even it got to the point where we were creating a different type of sourcing model, functional versus technical, and building dashboards. And I was tasked with doing some of that work. And then I would always go to Randy and say, how can you help me with this? So he was our go-to data guy, insights, I mean, anything and everything. But like he said, he's also, he's got that sourcing master title, and he'll always be classified as, one of the top sourcers. He beat the machine. He beat the robots.
Angie, if I recall, we were trying to build out the mapping for the layoffs. Now that I'm thinking about it, when you were there, that was the big project at the time. It was right at the start of the pandemic.
Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunately, before Walmart let go of all the contractors at the time, which was just so sad. But because we had some amazing sourcers on the team, including Angie and many others. But yeah, if I recall, we were trying to map that out to understand who was laying off, what was happening out in the marketplace.
Exactly.
So Angie spearheaded that.
Yeah, and it was great because we knew if we needed to find, for example, all of the Java engineers on the East Coast, we had them. Like, we had all of them, and we had them in our database. And if we needed all of the PHP folks on the West Coast, we had all of them. And then by company, I mean, it was a massive, massive project. It was amazing. And great insights. So, I think we talked about this yesterday too, earlier with Shannon, about the ATSs and data, and how a lot of people don't go into their internal systems to find talent. Well, if Walmart is listening and they're not using that, like, they have all the data, all the data.
Yeah, no, it's how to maximize. So that's, I would say, not a traditional necessarily sourcing or talent intelligence. It's certainly not a traditional talent intelligence avenue, but it why not? Why not utilize the systems, the data you already have in your systems? At Walmart, it was, tens, if not hundreds, probably hundreds of millions of profiles between all the different systems, that it was way underutilized even while I was there. and it was something I was very passionate about trying to expand. But it was just tough because of just the clunkiness of the systems of any system. Walmart was pretty good about it, but it was the TA systems leave a lot to be desired at any organization.
Well, the fact that companies like Walmart have multiple systems,
that too,
that makes it even harder, right?
Yeah.
So no, absolutely.
What was the biggest challenge you faced in your time at Walmart?
So I had so many successes. Sometimes just simply navigating or getting buy-in. It was such a big organization that having a great idea, and I used to say that I'd have a stump speech that I would bring up things that whatever problem I was trying to solve and I didn't know how to solve it. If it was something that I knew how to solve and solve my own, that's where I'd have amazing success. If it was something that was way bigger than me, that's where it would sometimes be challenging. So influencing up, it was always a challenge, but it's something that you got good at and just built. I had I think a decent reputation internally but it's just finding the right resources or people who are going to be able to help you was one of the biggest challenges at an organization of that size.
Well, I mean, you definitely had them. Oh, Randy, a lot of people came to you. So you definitely,
from all over the org.
Reputation.
Yeah. So is there anything our audience can do to help you? We'll share your contact information, but what's the ideal role looking like going forward?
It's what I'd love to know is who's thinking about building the TI function, even if it's not a full-time role doing TI. Get me in there, and I'm happy to work in sourcing or in the executive team. I've worked on all aspects of TA. I would consider myself a TA SME. I'm a systems SME. Certainly sourcing. Any of these areas, I will help you. Understand how to use your technology and use it better. If that's what we're talking about. And because one of my fears is that how many companies are going to be able to have the need to keep me busy with just talent intelligence. So having some sort of hybrid role or crossover with other areas. But I really don't want to give it up at least this stage. I'm still really want to stay in that strategy space.
Have you talked to many of the larger HRIS systems?
I haven't.
Adding some talent intelligence to some of their tools?
I haven't. I've talked to some of the data providers, and I have a contract starting with one of them. But I haven't talked to the HRIS at all. That's an interesting avenue.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't know what that would look like from a career standpoint.
Well, they build all these great products, but very not deep functionality, deep reporting to start. And they get it out the door, and then they kind of forget about it. So they need somebody like you to come in and say, well, this is what you really need, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be
interesting.
Yes, and I even have some connections. I haven't thought about that. So that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think what we didn't think about, a lot of the things that sourcers we didn't think about, we're starting to think about now, right? A lot of people making career changes, people moving into other types of roles. So I guess like you said, you don't care about the title as much as you care about what you're doing, as long as you're adding value and you're doing something that you love. So yeah,
absolutely. No, I love to make as I saw, or when I found out this was happening, I went and looked at some of my past reviews, and just some of the things that stuck out to me were just, making those around me better. And I was like, oh, wow, I don't even remember that, but it was something where I definitely felt heard or seen that this was something that is really important to me to make sure that I'm always just trying to help and I don't care what level of the organization you're at, I'm going to try and help you be better. Or if you're in my reporting chain, irrelevant to me. I used to say, I don't work for my boss, I work for the CEO. I'm going to do whatever I can, regardless if they know who I am or not.
Great. Okay, well, Randy will share your contact information and hopefully get the word out.
Sounds great.
If anyone leads or opportunities, please contact Randy. He's open to work.
Yes, and he's
Absolutely.
great.
Thanks for tuning in to the Totally Talent podcast by HR.com. We hope you find today's episode insightful and inspiring. Don't forget to explore more episodes and discover valuable resources at HR.com/podcasts, where you can listen to all of our podcasts. Until next time, keep leading with purpose and making a difference in the world of talent.